The final trailer for Tears of the Kingdom dropped a few days ago, and it is packed with all kinds of new tidbits and details for us to dissect and discuss until the game itself drops next month. Up until now, the Zelda marketing team has been reluctant to share anything about Tears of the Kingdom's story, but that has all changed with this final trailer. We've got a lot to analyze, but before we do, leave a comment down below telling me what you are most excited to experience when Tears of the Kingdom finally arrives. Alright, let's jump into the trailer. The trailer opens with a scenic shot of the Sky Islands above Hyrule. As the camera pans through the clouds, we can see just how many islands there are, and we can once again see long plumes of malice-filled smoke seeping from the top of Death Mountain, as we have seen numerous times in other footage. The next shot shows us a Zonai construct engaged in combat with a blue choo-choo. Many suspected that some of the constructs were hostile toward Link due only to their programming, and this shot at least confirms that they are not allied with the various monsters present around Hyrule. The trailer cuts to a Zonai Ranger construct using a hatchet on a tree for a moment, and then we see Link falling past one of the Sky Islands. As the camera moves around Link, we can briefly see the top of one of the larger temple-like structures on the Sky Islands, where there is a set of stairs descending into some sort of courtyard. This could be a location for some kind of cutscene, or an arena for a combat trial, or just a neat design feature. As Link descends onto Hyrule Field, he lands near an inactive Zonai shrine, and we can see a large structure has fallen from the sky and settled in the cliffs above Kakariko Village. The next shot shows Link running through what appears to be Hateno Village, but it has been revitalized and seems to be obsessed with mushrooms for some reason. Maybe Hateno has some sort of mushroom festival, but it could also just be a fun design aesthetic. The trailer cuts to Link running through the ruins of Castletown, where it appears that the Hylians have been cleaning things up and possibly rebuilding, as evidenced by the tents and supplies around the central fountain. It is also worth noting it appears that Hyrule Castle has not yet risen into the air at this point, but Link's arm is already damaged, so we can conclude that there is some time between when Zelda is lost and when the castle rises into the air. We get a closer look at the fallen sky structure above Kakariko Village. We can see some scaffolding near the structure, so it is likely this has fallen recently. I do wonder if Link will eventually be able to use his recall ability to return this structure to the sky. Maybe this will be part of a side quest to access a shrine or Sky Island. We can see Link running away from some ruins as the camera pans toward the swirling vortex above Hebra Peak. In the desert, an unidentified structure rises from the sand, not unlike the way the Lanayru mining facility rises out of the sand in Skyward Sword. We again are shown Hyrule Castle rising up as chunks of Sky Islands fall to the earth. As this happens, we are shown a group of Hylians watching in alarm. The trailer now cuts to a shot of a demonic figure covered in malice, with flaming red malice tendrils for hair, gazing upon a massive blood moon. Presumably this is Ganondorf, and it appears that the malice is restoring his emaciated body. However, covered in malice as he is, this figure also bears a striking resemblance to the Demon King Demise from Skyward Sword. Of course, Ganondorf is canonically the reincarnation of Demise brought about by Demise's hatred for Hylia and her chosen hero, so this isn't necessarily surprising, but I personally hope that this visual similarity is more than mere coincidence. We see Zelda falling into the darkness as we have seen many times before, and it is confirmed that Link is unable to catch her. The next shot gives us a glimpse of some strange holes in Lanayru Desert. These could be sinkholes or quicksand pits, or even enemies, but my personal hope is that these will be an entrance to an underground cavern beneath the desert floor. Link runs through a volcanic cavern. In the background, we can see there is some architecture set in the walls of the cavern. It doesn't really look like Goron architecture, but it does resemble some of the architecture of the Earth Temple and Fire Sanctuary from Skyward Sword. We finally get a close-up shot of the swirling vortex above Hebra Peak, and there are flying ships inside. I definitely was not expecting that. I would guess these are enemies, but it could also be that these ships are a means to navigate to other locations around or inside the vortex. Up on a sky island, Link leaps into a ball of water containing some kind of Zonai orb. The water ball is floating above a pad, and we can see another ball floating in the background. Maybe this is some kind of warping device. Or maybe this is just a means for Link to get across these pads to other islands. The trailer cuts to Link diving at high speed through a large tunnel filled with lasers. As he falls, Link spreads his arms to reveal that he is wearing some kind of gliding suit. The suit appears to have feathers, so perhaps this is an armor set that Link gets after working with the Rito. Now we see Link turning a wheel. Around and above him, there appears to be a rotating dome, which at first I thought was related to what Link is doing with the wheel. However, there's also this Zonai gumball machine in the background, so there's a good chance turning this wheel allows Link to obtain one of these gumballs for whatever puzzle he is trying to solve here. We get a quick shot of Link gliding through a narrow stone passageway, and a closer look tells us that he is most likely in one of the 3 labyrinths, which we have seen in previous trailers are now in the sky. The next shot shows us Link engaged in mounted combat, twirling his spear above his head. You can actually do this in Breath of the Wild by holding the Y button with a spear while you are mounted, but it doesn't typically deal damage. It will be interesting to see if this feature has gotten an upgrade in Tears of the Kingdom. Also in this shot, we see that there are numerous Hylians in makeshift armor helping Link to fight the monsters. While Link was able to fight alongside allies in Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, this is not a feature that existed in Breath of the Wild. I'm curious to see how this element will be implemented in Tears of the Kingdom. Will players need to manage their allies' health and resources in battles or skirmishes like this? Or will these allies serve more as supports for fights against larger groups of enemies so players aren't as easily overwhelmed? Link rides a Sheikah elevator for a few moments, and then we see a new character with an unfamiliar design. Their clothing and draconic look suggest this character is one of the Zonai, but their expression does not appear friendly. And we can see specks of malice in the air, as well as several monsters in the background. I think it is likely that this character will be some kind of Zonai priest who has turned against the Zonai, and they could even be the one responsible for resurrecting Ganondorf and setting the events of the story into motion. We see Link atop his horse, and then we are shown a large Zonai construct emerging ominously from a wall. The first half of the trailer ends with a majestic shot of Link in the sanctum of Hyrule Castle. There are glowing white particles all around, which gives the impression that this is some kind of magical restoration of the castle, or possibly an illusion recreated from Link's memories. If you've made it this far, I'm guessing you're enjoying this video. Please consider subscribing to the channel, as I spend a lot of time putting these videos together, and I'm planning to make more videos about Tears of the Kingdom and Zelda in general. With that out of the way, let's jump back into the trailer. The second half of the trailer begins by shifting the focus to Zelda. We can see that she survived her fall, and she appears to be in some kind of temple. We hear one of the Zonai telling Zelda that they are relying on Link and the Master Sword as their last line of defense, presumably against Ganondorf and his minions. While this is being said, we are shown a shot of Link grasping the Master Sword with his undamaged right hand. The trailer cuts back to Zelda, and we see a Zonai from the shoulders down. He places his hand on Zelda's shoulder. On the back of the Zonai's hand, we see a glowing crystal, and we can also see a yellow pendant around Zelda's neck, which we will get a better look at later in the trailer. We are given another shot of Link perched on the large glider that was revealed in the first trailer. Then we see Link engaged in combat against 2 Zonai constructs, and more importantly, we can see that Link's shield is fused to his sword. This appears to allow Link to attack and defend simultaneously, and we can briefly see that when he parries an attack from one of the Zonai constructs, the construct is disarmed. I really think Link's fuse ability is going to be so much fun to play around with. The next shot shows Link flying over the Sphere Island we've seen in previous trailers, and it appears that this is probably the same island as the Zonai Gumball Island we saw earlier. The trailer cuts to Link in a volcanic cave where it appears he is fighting a Goron. Maybe Link is trying to recruit this Goron to aid in the fight against Ganondorf, but he first has to prove himself against the Goron in combat. It's starting to seem like a huge part of the story will revolve around Link recruiting allies to the cause. Continuing in this vein, we see Link soaring upwards with a Rito ally in tow. When I first watched through this scene, I suspected that this was Tulin, the son of Teba from Breath of the Wild, and as it turns out, Nintendo has actually officially confirmed this. It's cool to see how time has passed enough that we could now be fighting alongside Teba's son, but I hope this doesn't mean something has happened to Teba. Next, we get a shot of Link pulling a cart with his horse. It appears that some assembly was required with Link's Ultra Hand ability, and we can see that the cart contains a group of Hylians. This is probably a side quest, but it's cool to see how Link's abilities will allow Tears of the Kingdom to have drastically different side quests from those in Breath of the Wild. We see Link use his recall ability to reverse the flow of time to defeat an Octorok with its own rock. And then, just when it seems things in this game can't get any crazier, we get this, a rocket shield. In the next shot, we see Link on one of the Sky Islands, where he appears to do some kind of moon jump to get across some platforms to another island. At first, I thought this was just related to the platform, but then I wondered if this is an ability that Link will be able to acquire. it could be really interesting and unexpected to be able to upgrade some of Link's basic abilities from Breath of the Wild, such as jumping. We see Link and a Zonai construct fighting each other in moving minecarts, and then we get a showdown between a Bokoblin encampment atop a stone talus and some kind of Zonai war machine that Link constructed with his Ultra Hand ability. The trailer cuts to a shot of Link fusing an arrow with a ruby. It appears that rubies will be among the materials Link can use to create fire arrows, which makes sense since rubies are used for cold protection gear in Breath of the Wild. We also see that Link is wearing some kind of horned headdress, and that his horse is wearing armor. We then see Link firing an arrow at a Zonai device in a Bokoblin camp, which causes the device to shoot out lasers and wreak havoc on the camp. This is followed by a shot of Link in some kind of icy gear and Tulin taking on some kind of horrendous ice monster in the eye of the storm above Hebra Peak. We see an explosion of malice, and then the trailer cuts to Zelda, who is holding a tear-shaped pendant in her hand. This was the pendant around her neck earlier in the trailer, and later in the trailer, we will see what it can actually do, but it's clear that this is one of the tears of the kingdom. We see malice pouring out of Ganondorf's corpse, shooting into the sky and exploding in every direction to spawn in all the new enemies, including some new Lynels, which look absolutely terrifying, I might add. We see Link's arm and the Master Sword being attacked by the malice, as we have seen numerous times at this point. And then, the big reveal. Ganondorf himself, restored to flesh, appearing much as he did in Twilight Princess, albeit shirtless for some reason. The trailer cuts to Link fighting some kind of reptilian monster that appears to either be made of liquid or to be able to go in and out of solid surfaces as if they are liquid. We see Link and Tulin diving for a moment before the trailer cuts to another new character who appears to be Hylian. Now, I have seen some people speculating that this is actually Hylia herself. This character does resemble Zelda, and they are wearing a yellow tear around their neck, just as Zelda was earlier in the trailer. It could be that Zelda awakens her connection to Hylia and is physically transformed into the likeness of the goddess. However, it is also entirely possible that this is neither Zelda nor Hylia, and is instead some kind of Zonai counterpart to Zelda. In either case, we see that this new character is accessing the power of the tear to fire a massive beam of energy at a horde of Molduga in the canyon near the Gerudo Desert. We see that Riju is returning, and she has mastered the power of lightning just as Urbosa did before her. We see Link standing with a ragtag band of fighters, again suggesting the importance of allies in this game. And then we get a shot of Link fighting alongside Sidon against a new Zonai construct, as an unfamiliar female voice says to Link, "You are not alone." The trailer cuts to Link and his allies, Riju, Sidon, Tulin, and an unidentified Goron, charging into battle. This again emphasizes that Link will not be fighting this war alone. But more importantly, in this shot, we can see that both Sidon and Tulin have tears of their own, a blue tear on the back of Sidon's hand and a green tear on Tulin's wing. This suggests that another major part of the story will not only be recruiting allies to our cause, but also finding tears that our allies can use to aid us in the fight against Ganondorf and his hordes. I am really curious to see what powers these different tears will hold. We also suspect from some of the artwork in previous trailers that there are probably 7 of these tears. Will these tears be connected somehow to the 7 sages and the Sacred Realm? The next shot gives us a better look at the fierce 3-headed dragon Gleeok as Link charges toward it wielding a crazy new ice sword. And then we see Zelda, dressed in Zonai garb, holding the Master Sword. We see the Tears of the Kingdom logo with artwork of Ganondorf and his minions in the background. Finally, we see Zelda all alone, and we hear her pleading for Link to find her, and the trailer ends. So what did you think of this trailer? Did I miss anything? What was your favorite part of the trailer? Let me know in the comments down below. I personally am super interested to see how combat will differ from Breath of the Wild when we have allies fighting alongside us. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, and I will see you next time. God bless.